Welcome back to the Quantum CBD H2O Rumble at Remington, presented by Sailor Jerry. We are at beautiful Remington Park and Casino in Oklahoma City. I'm Andrew Spino, ringside with the champ, Darren Humphrey, as we get ready for 5 rounds in the super middleweight division. Steve Crowfield already in his corner. We are waiting for Willie Gilbert. Ringside, Darren Humphrey, the champ, joins us. Darren, bad blood between these two, as Gilbert has handed Crowfield a loss before.
Right, well, it looks like we ran into a lot of rematches tonight, actually. Crowfield, he definitely looks the part. He looks like a fighter. He's built very well. He looks like he's in shape. I don't know. It's going to be another exciting fight. Typically, that's what we get on an HD boxing card.
Steve Crowfield already in the ring. We are waiting for Willie Gilbert to make his appearance, and here he comes now. Both these guys look extremely serious, although I can't help but point out, Darren, that I've seen it in wrestling. I don't think I've ever seen a boxer in a pro fight wearing leggings before. That's a new one.
Yeah, I've never seen it either. I think maybe some MMA things, maybe.
Steve Crowfield.
As we talked about earlier, there's a lot of crossover between boxing and MMA now.
Steve Crowfield breaking new ground in boxing this evening. We're ready to begin. Let's send it up in the ring to the menacing Gerald Whalen.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the next bout of this evening. 5 rounds of boxing scheduled in the super middleweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, he weighed in at an official 164 pounds. From Purcell, Oklahoma, ladies and gentlemen, Steve Crowfield! And his opponent from across the ring, fighting out of the red corner, he weighed in at an official 168 pounds. From Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, ladies and gentlemen, Willie the Gator Gilbert! We go to David Sutherland for your instructions.
Fighters in the center. Both had my instructions earlier. I want you to protect yourself at all times and obey my commands. Trunk line's good. Trunk line's good right here, okay? Touch them up. Let's go.
This is 5 rounds in the super middleweight division. Willie Gilbert in the black trunks. Steve Crowfield in the white and blue. Crowfield looking to avenge a loss at the hands of Willie Gilbert. So this fight should be interesting. Here we go. Darren, what do you see initially looking at these guys?
Well, Crowfield looks the part to me. He's very in shape looking. He plays the part. He looks like he's got a really good jab here.
Crisp double jab, up and down.
Right. The problem for Gilbert is, maybe he's going to come into this fight maybe being a little more relaxed than he should be because he has a victory over Crowfield.
Well, truth be told, I think Gilbert may have been relaxing in the gym. He looks a little soft around the midsection, especially compared to Crowfield.
You're right about that. And Crowfield, at this point, looks like he's taking the fight a little more serious. He's throwing some nice jabs and then coming back to the body with a double jab, too.
He is. Both fighters talking to each other. So far, it's Steve Crowfield dictating this fight with his jab, effectively going upstairs and downstairs alternately, and has kept Gilbert off balance.
Yeah.
Another good jab, that one landing.
Yeah, and I think Crowfield's got a really good left hook counter, so I'm not sure, how lazy Gilbert wants to get with throwing that right hand. He looks like he's kind of a little bit in slow motion to me. He likes to talk and game.
Now, I wasn't privy to the camps as each fighter was training, but just what we've seen so far, I'd have to say Crowfield came into this fight taking it much more seriously than Gilbert did.
And I would think so. He's the one trying to avenge the loss, so maybe it means more to him. I'm not sure.
Willie Gilbert tonight hoping to prove it's
right
not
hand.
a float. That was a nice left hand that split the guard, and Crowfield followed it up with a nice shot to the body. Every time he lands, Willie Gilbert starts nodding his head almost as if to say nice shot.
Yeah.
But there's a question of how many of those he can take.
Yeah, that's a good point. And as our fathers told us, talk is cheap. You know, he can run his mouth all night, but it's what happens.
Crowfield, very impressive, throwing that double jab consistently.
Yeah.
And each time, at least one of them lands. Often two of them do. And he's really keeping Gilbert off balance with that jab.
Yeah, and Crowfield, maybe those tights, I don't know. He kind of looks like he's got somewhat of a type of maybe a kickboxer.
Yeah, long limbs, lengthy guy, rangy, using the ring. But there, Gilbert landed a nice right hand to the rib section of Crowfield, then goes upstairs. Crowfield,
nice combination there.
When Crowfield takes advantage of his height the way he should, he completely dictates the geography of the fight. When he stands in front of Gilbert, Gilbert manages to land hard shots.
Oh, good 1-2, followed by a left hook there by Crowfield. You know, he's got the more general, boxing ringmanship.
That's true.
I do got to give it up to Gilbert, though. He looks really relaxed.
And he looks determined. We have round 2 coming up. Here's Lincoln's
box.
Here we go, round 2 of the super middleweight bout, scheduled for 5 rounds. Willie Gilbert in the black trunks with gold trim. Steve Crowfield in the white and blue trunks. Darren, a very interesting round 1 and competitive more than people might have realized. How'd you score?
That's a good question. I would maybe,
what a left hook.
Yeah.
That Gilbert landed flush on the jaw of Crowfield, but that does not stop Crowfield from sticking to his game plan.
Oh, good jab there, too.
Gilbert is really starting to sneak in with that jab, and look at him holding his hands down low, inviting Crowfield to come in on him.
Go ahead.
I asked you how you scored round 1. I scored it for Crowfield just based on ring generalship.
Yeah, me too.
But I think Gilbert may have landed the harder shots.
Well, potentially, but when you only, and I don't disagree with that, but when you only land 2 or 3 in a round, it kind of takes away from it. I think Gilbert's showing that, especially now in the second round, he's definitely landing the harder shots.
And Gilbert confident that he can compete with the speed of Steve Crowfield as he has his hands down by his waist, slipping punches, and actually doing it surprisingly effectively. If you were advising Crowfield what to do when Gilbert starts slipping those punches, leaning back side to side, what would you tell Crowfield to do?
Go forward and throw body shots. It's hard to miss the body if you just swing for it. But that's not necessarily Crowfield's game plan. As we can tell, he's the more athletic, more fit fighter. Maybe his goal is to move around.
Well, the big change from round number 1 is
good left hook there.
Despite that left hook, and maybe that inspired him, I was going to say that the confidence seemed to be draining out of Steve Crowfield, but after he landed those last 2 shots, he seemed to have put himself back in the game mentally.
Yeah, well, Gilbert's playing the little peekaboo, style, and to his credit, he won the first fight, so why not? I mean, it's almost like he's the champion. Crowfield's got to take the fight from him.
This has been a very interesting fight so far. At stark contrast in styles. Crowfield trying to throw hooks from the outside, but after he saw Gilbert slipping jabs so effectively on the inside, that seems like an unusual move to throw a big heavy left hand leaping in.
Yeah, and I wonder too, after seeing some expressions on Crowfield's face this round, if Gilbert's not maybe the more mentally tough fighter. And that means everything ultimately.
Crowfield is trying to steal the round, but it looks like Gilbert
no punch.
was the one who did it with that last combo. Round 3 next. Here we go.
Box.
Round 3 of this super middleweight bout. In between rounds, David Sutherland visiting both corners and telling the fighters to stop jabbering and start fighting. We're in round 3. Darren Humphrey, how do you have rounds 1 and 2 scored?
Oh, goodness. Well, I'll let you call round 1. I'll call round 2, and, it was a very close round. I think I would maybe give it to Gilbert just because he looks more confident out there.
He certainly does. I think he landed the more effective punches, and he dictated the pace of the fight in round 2. I gave the first round to Crowfield, second round to Gilbert, so it's even on my card. Have no idea whether that's how the judges see it, but for my...
Well, I agree with you. It's a tough fight to call. You know, at this point, like I mentioned at the end of that last round, I just feel like Gilbert has more confidence right now.
He does.
And in the fight game, that's everything.
And Crowfield stuck to what was clearly a game plan, and he stuck to it very well in round 1, but after he took a few shots in 2, he seemed to have abandoned it. He was really dictating the pace of this fight with that double jab in round 1, and he throws it there, but it's been a while.
Sure, and you're right, but if you notice, right before you started commenting on that, Gilbert actually cut the ring off on him. So, I don't know. You know, you have mentioned earlier about Gilbert throwing the heavier hands, and I would agree with that. I think maybe that might be the difference. Maybe that's why Crowfield hasn't, you know, really gone forward as much as I feel like maybe he should have.
Yes, I think he got, once again, the respect. Giving the respect to Willie Gilbert's punches. And then now this point, Steve Crowfield has gone off swinging wild. He lands a right hand just as Gilbert is trying to slip away, but Gilbert is really the one who is pressing the action here.
He is, and he's moving forward now more than ever as far as this fight goes. And look at his eyes. I mean, you can tell he's focused on the, you know, the mission at hand. He's, you know, Crowfield is mouth wide open. He's gasping for air. He obviously looks like the more fit fighter. But you know,
is it possible he overtrained for this fight?
Perhaps. I don't know what his body type was. He looks like the kind of a guy that's probably always going to look like he's fit and in shape.
I hate those guys.
When you say overtrained, I think I would maybe, I don't know, I would tie that within just being confident. He doesn't look confident out there, and Gilbert does.
He doesn't look confident, and despite the fact that Crowfield appears to be in much better shape, it's Crowfield who's breathing through his mouth, sucking air, while Gilbert is
pressing forward.
Pressing forward. Right. He could not be more composed.
You're right.
Tough body shots, counter left hook. That's end of round 3. We have our 4th round coming up.
Box.
Here we go, round 4 of this 5-round super middleweight bout. What an interesting contest and contrast of styles as Willie Gilbert in the black trunks and Steve Crowfield in the blue and white trunks have been going back and forth throughout this bout. Darren Humphrey joining us ringside. Darren, how did you score round number 3?
I would give that to Gilbert. And again, I think he's just coming forward, looks more confident, landing the harder shots. I'm not sure, you know, obviously if I could be in each of these guys' corners, I would give them different advice. But I think Crowfield probably needs to, you know, first and foremost.
Behind head, okay?
That was a punch to the back of the head, but to his credit, Gilbert, you know, was going backward and turned around and gave his head to him.
Yeah, he was, yeah. Crowfield got a warning from referee David Sutherland. I don't think it was a deliberate rabbit punch. I think he was throwing the left hook, but Gilbert kind of slipped and ducked.
To Sutherland's credit, he's right there on top of it. He's got to make a decision right then. So,
what's interesting about this fight is despite the height and reach advantage that Crowfield really has, it's Gilbert dominating.
And physical advantage.
Yeah, but it's Gilbert dominating from the outside.
He is. And I think, you know, at this point, Gilbert's on a roll. I'm kind of surprised, to be honest with you. But again, it's all about that mentality, and he's throwing everything with confidence.
And Crowfield certainly does not have the snap on his punches that he did in the first round. Gilbert, I think, has found his range. He knows how to make Crowfield miss, make him look bad, come inside,
good jab there by
punches
Gilbert
when he needs to, like that. You know, if you look at them on paper, there's no reason why Gilbert should be out-jabbing him.
Sure.
But he is very effective.
Hey, and let's don't forget, Gilbert's over 40. So he had to go through an extensive amount of tests and things like that to even get, you know, to be on the fight tonight.
So chalk one up for the old guys.
Yeah, us older group of guys, you know.
Yes.
Hey, maybe he's just smarter. He's more wise at this point.
Well, he's fighting. It's funny you say that because he's actually fighting very intelligent. He's very patient. He's not tense.
Yeah.
He's not showing the anxiety that younger fighters do.
Good point.
Gilbert really is composed.
And for all you young fighters out there, that anxiety and things like that take your stamina away, as well as your mental game. You got to believe in yourself.
And Gilbert really, although he hasn't dominated, he's taking control of this fight. We have our fourth round coming up.
Here.
Welcome back to the Quantum CBD H2O Rumble at Remington, presented by Sailor Jerry. This is the fifth and final round of this super middleweight bout. Steve Crowfield in the white and blue trunks, Willie Gilbert in the black. This is a rematch for these two. Gilbert having beaten Crowfield the last time they squared off in the ring. Darren Humphrey, how do you have the fight scored going into the final round?
Well, I think this is Gilbert's fight to lose at this point. I think he has to lose by knockout. I don't know if Crowfield has that in him at this point. We've talked all night about Gilbert being the more confident fighter, and that carries a lot of weight, especially in the fight game.
I think he's more confident because he's completely dictating the fight. And all the great work that Crowfield did in the first round seemed to have gone out the window, and his gas tank really seems empty. Could be a result of the body shots like that one that Gilbert has been landing.
Yeah, that's a good point. You know, and if you noticed, Gilbert keeps turning southpaw and orthodox all night. I think he's just kind of going with whatever he feels at that point. He doesn't necessarily have a game plan, if that makes sense.
No,
he's just out there fighting.
Sense. And he's being effective. That was another heavy right hand to the rib cage of Steve Crowfield. And once again, Gilbert really is dictating just about everything about this fight. As I say that, Crowfield comes in for a flurry, but it's Gilbert, honestly, much more effective working off the ropes with that right uppercut.
Yeah, and, you know, there for a second, you know, Crowfield was throwing some good left hooks to the body there. The difference is when Gilbert started fighting back, Crowfield decided to move out of the corner.
And look at Willie Gilbert here in the last round, nodding at Steve Crowfield like he did in the first round. Each time he lands a
good
shot,
left hook
to
there.
say it's nothing. Crowfield
And you know,
tries to fire back, but again, it's Gilbert getting the better of the exchanges.
Oh, good punches there by Crowfield. The thing about Gilbert is he's a little bit unorthodox, and that's, you know, coming from a boxer's perspective, guys like that are kind of hard to fight, to be honest. Because they're unorthodox. They're coming from punches from all angles.
Right, and you never know where the punches are coming from. The angles are crazy. They throw punches when they shouldn't be. And that can throw a classic boxer like Steve Crowfield off his game. The two tangle up against the ropes, falling to the ground, no knockdown.
Gloves, turn around, gloves. Box.
Yeah, the difference tonight. Oh, good combination there by Crowfield. The difference tonight, again, is like we've talked about all night, is the confidence with Gilbert. He comes forward. He's confident in what he's doing.
And something else you mentioned, I think it's who wants it more.
Let's go.
True. That's a great point. And I think that's Gilbert because he's mentally, you know, more there than Crowfield.
Well, we are going to find out if the judges agree. We will be back with the decision right after this. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back at the Quantum CBD H2O Rumble at Remington, presented by Sailor Jerry. Let's get the decision of this 5-round super middleweight bout. Set it up in the ring to the ribald Gerald Whalen.
Ladies and gentlemen, this bout goes to the scorecards. Judge Don Hayes, Ron Hayes, and Jason Greenwald all scored the bout 49-46 for your winner by unanimous decision. Out of the blue corner, Steve Crowfield.
The official decision, 4 rounds to 1 in favor of Steve Crowfield. Darren Humphrey, I have to tell you, I had that fight scored the exact opposite.
I agree, and when they were saying the differential between the rounds, I was totally giving it all to Gilbert.
Well, the judges see it from different angles. Steve Crowfield avenging his loss to Willie Gilbert with a unanimous decision in this 5-round super middleweight bout. We have a lot of great fights still to come, including our main event. Dennis Knife Chief takes on Maurice Williams, a rubber match grudge match. You don't want to miss. Stick around.